Greetings and welcome to the Barbra Gentry Pugh Show. I'm excited that you were able to join us today. And I have as my special guest, Jocelyn Grande. Yes. Did I get that right,
You got it right.
Oh, great. Welcome to the show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to have you on the show today because when I met you about a couple months ago and I heard you speak at Women Who Inspire, I said I have to have her on the show and talk a little bit more about that quarter second.
Oh, right, exactly.
So Jocelyn is a busy lady. She has her own company and it's called Sachet. And Sachet stands for Sisters Achieving Success, Harmony, and Empowerment.
Yes.
That makes me feel empowered just to say that.
All right.
And basically what she does is build confidence in women. And if they're stuck in their career, she can get them out of their rut.
That's right.
And I enjoyed being at your home the other night, and I saw you with all the wonderful ladies. And what impressed me so much is how much you have poured into the lives of women, and just to hear how much they expressed how much you had helped them. And so that was really a nice time there with the ladies, and it was just good to see your work that you have been doing. I'd just like to say a little bit about Jocelyn. She has a BA in psychology from Colby College. She has a master's in human resources management from Marygrove College. And she basically has been doing job coaching in the last, 10, 15 years?
Yes.
Okay, so she's going to talk a lot about confidence today.
Yes.
And when she spoke at Women Who Inspire, she talked about this quarter of a second that still has me puzzled.
Great.
That you make an impression on a person the first quarter of a second that you meet them.
Absolutely.
Convince me again.
And I know you're still not sold, and it's been a couple of months, right?
I think I am.
Okay. Well, basically what I was saying then, and what I also teach a lot of the women, that I work with, is that you have to realize that within a quarter of a second, a person does make up their mind about you. And I know it's hard to believe, and we all hear, how important that first impression is, but it's actually happening in a quarter of a second. And then the next few seconds, really a person is trying to confirm whether that quarter of a second impression was accurate. So you really have about 6 seconds to make an impression that sticks with a person. And that first impression is more important than the next 5 combined, which I talked about as well.
Yes.
So, when I share that with women, I think that's important to think about that in a variety of ways of, how you want to be seen if you're presenting or communicating or selling an idea. It's important when you're negotiating. It's important when you're interviewing for a job, that quarter of a second and then those next 5 to 6 seconds. And a lot of times I think because women, we are much more forgiving and we feel, okay, today I had a bad day, but next time when I go into that meeting, I'm going to be dressed to the nines, I'm going to make sure I'm polished, but you don't realize the first impression that you gave prior to that is really something that sticks.
So if a person forms an impression within that quarter of a second and you get to know that person and be around them for a year or so, could they change?
They can change.
Okay.
They can change, but it's always back there. And I get challenged a lot, by women saying, no, I don't know. I think, you don't judge a book by its cover. And once they get to know me or know the person, it can change. It is difficult to change that because it's always in the back of the mind. And I share this, and I think I may have shared this example at WIN, I remember in college, you know how you do a lot of project work and teamwork. So I was working on a project with some classmates of mine, and there was one classmate of mine in particular that was always late, and not only that, she was never organized, and so she would always coming in frazzled, not organized, never pulling up her end of, the responsibility on the team. So long story short, 10 years later, the world is small, ran into her again. She was applying for a job at a company where I worked. And someone found out that we went to school together and asked me my impression of her. Well, the only thing I could think of, and I hadn't seen this person in 10 years, she could have, redeemed herself. She could have been, much more organized and polished, but I couldn't get that impression out of my head. And she had done a whole bunch of wonderful things in, in the 10 years. So even if you get to know a person it's always back there. I wonder, you know, if this, what I'm seeing is true.
It's really true.
It's really true. So you can redeem yourself,
Okay.
but you still want to realize that that first impression is something that is
very lasting.
Very lasting, and that's why I said it's more important than the next 5 impressions that you have combined. So.
Well, that really stuck with me. I think the 1/4 of a second really stuck with me more than anything else. And I'm very conscious of that, more so. And I know that you've always heard first impressions are lasting impressions.
Correct.
But I never thought about the 1/4 of a second. You know, that's pretty quick. I mean,
it's very quick.
Very
and I always say, you know, next time you go to some, you know, place of business or you're in a meeting and you sit down and think about what your impression you have of the people at the table and how quickly you form that. And sometimes you do that just as you walk in the room. You're like, oh.
True. And that's true. When you really think about it, it's true.
It is true.
It really is true. Well, I was very impressed with you. As we walked in the other night and you were talking, you exude confidence, but from what I'm reading, you have not always had that.
That's correct.
Tell us why is confidence or self-confidence so important for women especially? And you talked a little bit about that the other night.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in that confidence is the foundation to success no matter what it is you want to accomplish. So if you're confident, you truly can do anything. You don't have to be the most experienced, the most qualified. If you have confidence, you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. And for me, I didn't always have confidence. It is something that is a learned skill, and that's another thing that I always talk with women about. A lot of times we think we just wake up confident. No, it's something that you learn to do with practice, with failing, getting up and dusting yourself off and going back in there and believing in yourself daily, from minute to minute. And that's exactly what I do. And when I work with women, particularly when I'm doing career coaching, I always want to know how confident they are, because the more confident they are, the more they are to open themselves to different perspectives, the more they are to look at different approaches, and to be to focus on their continuous improvement, meaning that you're going to have to look in the mirror, accept your failures, accept your imperfections, and say, I can still do this. Or if you have a major blunder, to be able to dust yourself off and come back and try again just as hard. And that takes confidence. And what I find is that a lot of times, we as women in particular, we focus more on our education, we focus more on our experience and our qualifications. Now don't get me wrong, those are important, but sometimes we don't focus on the confidence. And so if you are, I always say that you don't have to be the most educated person, but you can be the most confident person, and that sells, because that builds credibility. People believe in you, and also will think that you would be a leader. So you have the potential to be a leader. So it's the confidence that really sells, not so much the other things that go behind it.
Well, I just want to congratulate you on just what you shared and what I saw. And I'll tell you what I saw in your home the other night. And also when you spoke, you have a quiet strength. And you don't overpower, but you say what you need to say, and you slowly build up to the core of what you're trying to get across in a very gentle way, because some women would be crushed if you come at them in a more powerful way. And so I think that is a very, very key important component that you have. And I noticed that the other night, because you don't seem like this real strong go-getter person initially, but as you talk more and more, and I think a lot of women need that today, because they're already feeling not confident in themselves. And you can really sink their confidence if you come across, and I think you do that very well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's something that I have to be really careful of, because I'm the type of person, when I see the beauty in everyone that I connect with, and I can see, you know, that diamond in there, and even though it may be packaged in, you know, lack of confidence or experience and those types of things. So sometimes I get real ambitious with a person and say, you know, you could really do this, and they may not be ready from a confident perspective. And so,
but you know how to approach it.
I know, and I've learned that over time.
I've learned that over time. It seems very natural. So I come to your office, and I'm in a rut. I'm stuck. I don't have any confidence, and I'm really looking for a new career, a change in my life. Help me be successful?
That's a great one. Well, first of all, I would ask you to rate your level of confidence, and I would ask you to tell me the 3 things that you feel are getting in the way of you getting out of this rut or going to your transition into whatever it is that you want to do next. And so, you know, describe that to me in your words. The other part that I would do is to sit down and say, let's talk about you. What do you do best? What do you do better than anyone else? And a lot of times when I'll ask women, particularly if you're lacking confidence, they'll stumble on that and haven't really thought about what it is that they do best. What do you do better than anyone else? And so I will usually give you that homework to say answer that, because you really need to dig deep and think about, what is it that I do? What sets me apart from everyone else? What makes me exceptional and unique? That builds your confidence. And then I also have you focus on, you know, your 3 top attributes. And that builds your confidence, because you have to take time to really think about what is great about you. And that helps you build the confidence from the inside that can then come out on the outside. And then lastly, I always ask women, and this is what I do usually in my first, you know, session, is to tell me about your proudest accomplishment and how did you achieve that? And a lot of times we accomplishing great things that took courage, that took commitment and dedication and sacrifice, that we don't always take the time to recognize and reward ourselves internally with that recognition. That builds confidence. It also shows you how you can do it again. So when you're facing something, again, that may be frightening or it may seem like a mountain that's maybe difficult to overcome, you can reflect back on how you did that in the past. And that builds confidence. And so when you're successful in the past, you remember that, it helps you feel more courageous and confident going forward in the future. So what I do is have you focus on these great things that you've done. What are you bringing to the table? That builds that confidence, and then we talk about what is it that you want to do next, and in making that something that is attainable.
You know, and words really have power. You know, when you encourage someone or give someone a compliment, you know, especially when a person's kind of down, that kind of raises them up and say,
Absolutely.
"Oh, it's amazing." And so I always remember that if I have a friend that is maybe going through something, and you just they want to hear. So we just need those strokes sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
And that helps build confidence as well.
Absolutely. We need the strokes externally, but we also have to stroke ourselves internally and to recognize. I do that on a daily basis, and that to me supercharges your confidence. So, you know, I reflect every day, and I reflect on all the great things that I'm proud of that I accomplished that day or went well that day. And then I say anything that may not have gone the way I wanted, I say, and next time I'm going to do this. So I don't, because I used to chip away at my confidence. I used to, every time at the end of the day, I'd be driving home and I'd start thinking of all the things I did wrong or didn't go well. I should have did it this way. Why didn't I do that? Oh, I can't believe I blew it this way. And by the time I got out of the car, when I got home, I was this big. So I reversed that and said, you know, first I'm going to recognize all the great things. And then if there's anything I want to do differently, I'm not going to beat myself up for. I'm just going to say next time I'm going to do it this way. So it's always a positive spin, but it takes that daily recognition and rewarding yourself for the great things.
And you have to learn to believe in yourself, because we all have gifts and talents. It's just discovering what I can do best.
Absolutely.
In building a career or changing whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
You do these conferences. And
I do.
saw all these women in red. I'm like, oh, I want to go to that conference and wear my red dress. But it looks like so much fun. Tell me about the conferences that you have to help women, because I heard you the other night. You were talking about women when you worked in HR.
Yes.
And they always just sell themselves short.
Correct. Correct.
And so it seemed like a very valuable.
The conference?
The conference, yes.
Yes, well, I do an annual, it's called the Confident Women Conference annually, and it is a transformational experience. And so what I want is a woman to come in there to get her confidence so boosted that when she leaves, she feels that she can go after whatever it is that she wants to go after and turn her passions into reality, earn the respect that she thinks she deserves, and get paid her worth. And that's really the focus, and we do it collectively. So we usually have about 125 to 150 women that come together. I tell them, wear your power red, because red is the confident color. So you come with your power right in the door, and And as women, you know, what we wear does impact how we feel about ourselves. And so I say, you know, start with your attire. So come with that, but it's energy packed.
I can tell.
I do a boot camp, so a confident boosting boot camp, and that helps you with your professional branding, how you talk about yourself, how do you feel about yourself, and then we do a lot of interactive activities where we help each other, you know, achieve and recognize. And it's fun-filled with music, there's food.
Well, they seem like they're having a wonderful time.
It's a great time. And you know, I really think that we don't always reward ourselves either.
Absolutely.
So it's another way to reward ourselves and to, you know, help women feel good of everything that they're accomplishing. Well, we also bring, you know, women entrepreneurs together too, so we have vendors there as well. I like to promote that.
Absolutely. Well, you're an author.
I am.
And we're going to talk about your book. What's in your sandwich?
Yes.
What a title.
Yes.
Where did that title come from? And it actually has a sandwich.
Yes, it has a sandwich on
the cover.
Right, and it has nothing to do with sandwiches.
Okay.
And there is a story behind the title, What's in Your Sandwich.
Okay.
But it's all about putting the right ingredients into your career strategy. And since this is a book, actually the books are targeted towards women, it's set up like a cookbook.
Okay.
And so it's all about having the right ingredients, just like a sandwich. And so what I was trying to prove was that if you can make a sandwich, you can have a successful career. So it's just about what you put in it. Okay. And it has a lot to, you know, there's a lot in common of how to make a sandwich and putting together a very strategic career. So it, you know, it really did come from me mentoring a friend's daughter of mine, and I was mentoring her, and we were out at lunch, and she was eating a sandwich, and I was telling her, I said, you know, your career is only going to be as great as what you put into it, so you have to have the right ingredients. And so that's kind of how it started. And every time we would get together, she'd say, I have a sandwich report. So, and she would be working on all the ingredients, because I was saying, in order to be successful over time, you need this, this, and this. So that's kind of where the title came from, and it's just my go-to fun way of saying, you know, it's all about what you put into it.
Okay.
So
you know, I think the economy is coming back. They say it's coming back, but all those women that maybe lost jobs and to lose a job, you know, that has to be devastating. I've never experienced that, but to have to change your career.
Yes.
I mean, you've been doing this for 20 years, and all of a sudden you're not doing that anymore, and I've got to reinvent myself.
Yes.
I've got to change careers possibly, and it takes a lot of confidence to step out in something new.
Absolutely.
And so I'm sure your work with women is just invaluable in terms of helping them get out of the rut and get going into the direction that they can be successful in.
Yes, it is, and it is an interesting time that you see a lot of women in those situations.
Okay. Well, Jocelyn is just a very busy lady. She's done so many things, not just her coaching, but also I was looking on your website, and you were talking about, well, it was Jocelyn in the News. We'll talk about that first. She's been a keynote speaker for the Southfield Black Chamber of Commerce, celebrating women and entrepreneurs during Women History Month, and just a host of different things that she's done in terms of having that woman to be confident in herself. So it's a valuable service. But there was also something else that I was going to talk about. You were talking about 3 reasons to get unstuck. So I'm stuck today, Jocelyn.
Okay.
How can I get unstuck?
Okay, how do you get unstuck?
I'm getting my confidence back.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so to get unstuck, first of all, you have to articulate, why are you stuck? Okay. What is keeping you down? So, and it's different for every woman. It really is. And so we really want to talk about, you know, why are you feeling stuck? What are the barriers for you from getting unstuck? And that's where we will start. You know, some of it is a lack of confidence. You know, a lot of women say, you know I really want to do this career, but I've been in this job for a long time. That's something new. I'm a little nervous or afraid of it, or I want to turn my passion into a business, but I don't know if I have the confidence to go after it. Sometimes people feel stuck because they're overlooked. So they are qualified, they're going out there, they are applying for different opportunities, but they're being overlooked. And that has a lot to do with their lack of confidence, even if they think they're confident. And
yeah, to be turned down for a job that you feel that you deserve and qualified for, it is a chip away.
It is a chip away.
At your confidence.
So, you know, so is it, are you being overlooked? How are you packaging yourself? How are you promoting yourself? How are you showing why you are unique? Because this job market is so competitive and it's unlike any other market in the past. And so you have to learn how to compete effectively. And that is something that I think a lot of women aren't always equipped to do, particularly in this job market, is how do you compete effectively? How do you stand out from the rest? Because there are thousands of other people with all the same credentials and competing for those same opportunities. So there's, you know, there is a lot of work into, you know, really figuring out what it is that's keeping you stuck, because we have to remove those barriers and then package you in a way that makes you attractive, that makes you competitive, and or give you the knowledge if you wanted to go out and turn a passion into a business. And how do you earn that courage to do that?
And it may mean going back to school. We're in a technological age, and there's so many advances, and you might just have to update yourself.
Correct.
On being able to go walk in and work with the computer that you may not have had to work with in your previous job.
Right.
So it's just getting out of that rut. And
getting out there. And that's what my second book is about. The second one is The 7 Savvy Ingredients to Supercharge Your Confidence. And that book came from so many women asking me, how did I get the confidence to leave my corporate position, which I had a very great career. I actually loved what I did. And I had a promising career, so I was still, you know, ascending. And what gave me the confidence to leave that behind to follow my passion. And so that's what this book was, because I run into so many women that said, you know, I would love to do that, but I don't know how to go about it, and how did you do it? And I think they thought I just woke up one day and just said, you know, forget this, I'm off on my own. And actually, no, it took years and years of planning and putting a strategy together of how I could make that happen, and to, you know, make sure that I was thinking of everything. Because confident people are not impulsive.
Okay.
They do a lot of pre-work.
Okay.
That's where the confidence comes from.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people assume that either you're confident or you're not. You're just born that way, so you can just go ahead and throw caution to the wind. No, what makes you confident is that you've done the pre-work. You've found out what it takes to make this happen. How much money do you have to have? What kind of experience? Who's done it well that maybe you can connect with and be mentored by? And how do you do the research to find out more information about it? So, I mean, it was years and years and years of work. That's what gave me the confidence that I could do it. It wasn't that I woke up one day. I wouldn't have been confident if I just said, I'm not going to do this anymore and just get out there.
I think it was you or the other lady was talking about something that she was really good at, but that she wasn't passionate about.
Right.
And sometimes we get stuck in jobs that we're good at, but we go to work and we're not happy or we're not fulfilled in that job. So so you were in a position, wonderful job, and you decided to just
I decided at you know, I think you reach a certain age, not that I'm going to talk about my age, but I think you reach a certain age.
No, we don't talk about that on the show.
All right, good. And you start to say, okay, where am I going next? And, you know, and really, what do I want out of life? And I decided I wanted to make a difference on a different level.
Absolutely.
And I had this burning passion to make a difference. And it wasn't until I was speaking to a group of women that told me, this is really what I think I was meant. This is why I'm here. This is what I was meant to do. And I want to make a difference to help women go after their dreams, to turn their passions into businesses, to build the confidence so they get the respect that they deserve, to get paid their worth, and to be able to feel good about what they're doing. And that's what I really set out to do.
So you did you paid your dues in terms of so to speak, and you did the work, and now that you can help other women.
Absolutely. And I didn't do things perfectly either. And that's the other thing I wanted, you know, women to know is that, you know, I have a lot of lumps on my head from lessons I learned the hard way. And you know, a lot of times I think we feel we have to be perfect in order to be successful.
Now you're hitting on my territory.
And you don't have to be perfect.
You just want to do a good job sometimes. And when you don't measure up to what you think you should do, then that kind of chips away also at your confidence.
Absolutely. So, no, you don't have to be perfect. I'm a perfect example of that, you know, not to be redundant, but you do not have to be perfect to be successful, you know. And in fact, failure is important for success.
I've heard that over and over and over lately.
It is. It is. You show me a person, I say, if you haven't failed in the past, I'm real skeptical of what you can be successful in the future. Because failure teaches you so much. It also builds confidence if you can get yourself back up, dust yourself off, and get back in the game. But failure, to me, is the best teacher.
Okay.
And it's the best confidence booster.
Okay.
And if you think about it from, like, a sports, like a competitive sports perspective, you know, those teams, you know, I was looking at the Lions game just before coming into here, you know.
Were they winning?
They were. I don't know where they are now, but if, you know, they lose all the time. Can you imagine if they just kind of threw their hands up? But what they do, what makes them confident in getting back out there, is to learn from their mistakes and to come out even stronger, even, you know, much more informed and much more confident. And that's the difference. And so the way you get better is learning how not to do things.
Don't keep making the same mistake.
Exactly.
Okay.
But you have to try
But
first.
you have to try.
Right.
You have to try.
You have to try it.
Before our time is up, let's talk about, you know, some people say, I know who I am. How is that different from confidence or being self-confident, or is it the same thing?
Well, you mean if a person feels comfortable, I know who
you know, you hear women say, well, I know who I am. You know, if you're a Christian, I know who I am in Christ, and they feel confident, but they may not be confident in the areas that they should be.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes. It makes a lot of sense, and it's funny, I talk about this in the Savvy Ingredients to Supercharge Your Confidence. I talk about, because usually when I speak, I will ask people to rate their level of confidence on a scale from 1 to 5. I just very curious to know where people feel they are. And a lot of women will rate themselves between a 4 and a 5.
Okay.
And which is amazing. And a lot of my clients sometimes will say the same thing. So I'll ask them, well, what is it that you're confident in? And they'll say, well, no, I'm confident. So that's when I'll ask them those questions that I mentioned earlier. I said, well, tell me what you do better than anyone else. How much are you worth? Right? What are your top 3 attributes? And most of the time I hear dead silence.
Because they can't just all of a sudden say this, and this.
And most confident people know you know, what's their greatest thing that they do, what sets them apart from everyone else. Just like a competitive athlete, you know, they know what talent they're bringing to the team. And you ask them, and oh yeah, I'm a, you know, 3-pointer, you know, right off the bat. That's confidence. So you may be confident in your education, you may be confident in your experience, but are you truly confident about what makes you stand out? And that's where I think women, we don't think about ourselves as standing out. We're taught not to outshine others. We're taught to get along, we're all friends, everyone's equal. And I don't mean that in a malicious way, but what I'm saying is why, if I'm looking to do business with you, or if I'm looking for the next talented person to hire, why should I select you over someone else?
What makes me unique?
What makes you unique? Amen. And you have to be confident about that.
And say it with confidence.
Say it with confidence. And feel good about it, and have it be about you. And that's what I do at the conference. We live, we're like, okay, who are you? And you live that all day. All day.
Well, Jocelyn, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I feel confident, more confident already.
All right, great.
So it's just thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Sharing
this
with
is a
us
pleasure.
about being confident, the confident woman.
All right.
Amen. This is the Barbara Gentry Pugh Show, and we will see you on next week.